Hey Roseanne, welcome to the Community Living Golf Tournament. Just want to give you an opportunity here to view your swing at regular speed. Then we'll go ahead and put you back in your dress position and take a look at a few things for you. So while we got you back here in your setup looks pretty decent here with respect to your posture. You can see your spine is straight and on a slight tilt. Your legs come down into a nicely unlocked position. Your arms then hang down off that tilted spine, and the golf club works out to the golf ball. If I were going to work on your golf game from a posture perspective, I would just refine this just a hair. What I would do is I would get you to throw your tail out and up a little bit, push your sternum out and forward a little, and ultimately what that's going to do is just going to increase the angle to your spine here a little bit so that you're sort of into your golf shot just a little bit more. From there, we'll go ahead and keep your legs unlocked as they are. Let the arms hang down nice and naturally, and then let the golf club work out to the ball. So basically, taking you from a slightly, I'm not sure why that's clicking off. Let's do it again. That's weird. Anyways, taking it from this sort of tall red position into and changing the angles just a hair, especially just in the spine. From here, we can take a look at your alignment. Your alignment looks really good. Parallel lines on camera. Basically, your feet are supposed to run parallel to your target line, and those parallel lines on camera will have appearance of converging. So we're basically set up down the right center of the fairway, so no real issues there. And we do a little split screen comparison here between you and Chella Choi. We've got some color-coded lines here on the screen, just as a reference point as it pertains to swing plane. Now we can see with Chella, see how her spine is, she's angled towards the ball just a little bit more, so her sternum, her head, her center of gravity is a little bit more out over her toes than sort of where you are back on your heels. As we initiate a takeaway, basically what we're trying to do is we're trying to, draw the golf club back by rotating the shoulders, bringing the arms and hands back as well as the golf club. And when the club comes back, if it's going to swing back on proper plane, it's got to travel back along this red line. From here, we're going to continue with our turn. We're going to then start to establish some wrist hinge into play, whereby we're taking the club head from below our hands to moving it above our hands. And then moving the club from red up towards yellow. When we finally set the club at the top of the backswing, we want the left arm situated on the yellow line as well as the club shaft. Now the club shaft is allowed to be within the blue-yellow V zone, but always has to stay a little closer to yellow than to blue. We have full shoulder rotation, and we want to make this move about a very stable right side, making sure that the weight stays on the instep of our right foot. As you draw the golf, actually one thing I want to point out before we go any further is that if we were looking at your golf swing sort of from a face-on view perspective, what we would note is that your right hand is too strong on the golf club. What that means is your right hand is rotated too far underneath the club. So strong doesn't refer to pressure, it refers to positioning. And if your grip, left or right hand, is strong, it's going to influence the club face closing too much at impact. And your right hand is too strong, it's too far rotated underneath the club, and it's going to obviously influence that club face to be closed during the backswing and the downswing very likely. As we initiate your takeaway here, we can see that you draw the golf club back very nicely with your hands. Your shoulders are kicking in a little. You do have a tendency of moving that golf club a little bit underneath and inside the swing plane just a little. Just means that your club has moved underneath to the left of the red line just a hair. And we can also see right now that your club face is extremely closed, and that is a byproduct of your right hand grip. Okay? As we continue to come back, we need to see continued shoulder rotation. We want to start to establish some wrist hinge. When you have a strong grip, very difficult sometimes to create maximum wrist hinge, so we stay stiff-wristed with the golf club. It takes a while for that club head to get above the hands. Right there, you start to get a little bit of wrist hinge happening, and club shaft has recovered pretty decently. We do see your arms compressing to your core. What that means is that your right forearm is compressing to your right bicep and your right tricep is pasted against your rib cage, and that's causing your left arm to fold and bend. So when we get to the top of your backswing, we can see that your arms are very, very compressed to your body. We don't have the same extension that we see with Chella Choi over here, where her right tricep is away from her rib cage, her right forearm is away from her bicep, and that's allowing her to keep her left arm relatively straight. Okay, so obviously we can see that the set position needs to be refined just a little here. As we start our downswing, we simply want to take our weight from our right foot, drive it to the left, fire the knees and the hips to the target, unwind the core, and fire the hands. And in doing so, we need to make sure we're bringing the golf club from yellow back down on top of red, which is where it originated from. And we can see exactly that happening. The golf club has returned back to being on plane. The other thing we want to point out at this point in time is that basically between the lead forearm and the golf club, we're creating what I refer to as a backwards check mark. It simply means we're retaining angle coming into the shot, and the club head right now is remaining above and behind her hands, which is going to allow her to create a lot of power in the golf swing, let alone return back to plane, which is ultimately what allows us to hit straight golf shots in accordance to our alignment, and assuming that our grip is good. So 3 things we need in order to hit straight golf shots. We have to aim well, feet have to run parallel to our target line, and we have to swing the club down on plane in order to hit the ball straight in accordance to where we're aimed. And then obviously we have to have a good grip so the club face squares up at impact. As you create your downswing, excellent dropping your hands. Really, really nice move there. Normally we see people move everything over the top. You drop your hands very nicely, and we can see that you're working the club from blue back to yellow, and then from yellow back to red. So at this point in time, this pre-impact position is pretty solid. I mean, you got your lead forearm here, you've got your golf club there, you've got your backwards check mark. The club head is still remaining above and behind the hands, which is going to allow you to create some power in your golf shot. Now, the club head has not returned back to the red line because your left arm to start the downswing is starting to separate a little bit out away from your core there, and it's going to make it difficult for that club head to return back to the red line fully. So if we continue to track you coming into the ball, we'll just pay attention. Okay, so good job there. So you're really fighting to keep that club head behind your hand. So that's really nice position. Club now drops back on the plane, and you're coming in the ball very nicely. So if we just connect the dots there, I mean, your descending plane is pretty solid there. You're getting that golf club to come into the ball pretty much from that red line, exactly like what we see with Chella Choi here. The golf club is tacking from that red line, or actually in her case just slightly underneath. Okay? So at impact here, what we can do is sort of just take a look at the path of the club. Basically, we can see with Chella that her club is situated inside the ball. It expands out to hit the golf shot, and then moves through on a nice natural subtle arc. Your club is, so that's actually, let me back that up a frame so we get it better. So for there, out to the ball, and then through. So you've got a nice arc working through the golf ball. Now, one of the things we see here is that unfortunately your club, as it was striking the ball, is way off the ground. So if you could get that club a little closer to the ground, obviously you'd utilize the loft better and be able to hit the ball up into the air better. Now, the other thing too is, again, if we were recording this from face-on view, I can tell from this vantage point, many people would not be able to, but basically your ball position right now is also back of center. When you're hitting a driver, you want it basically somewhere up near the instep of your left foot. So you've got the ball too far back. So get that ball more positioned on the instep of your left heel, get the ball teed up high, and try and pick the ball off the tee. Now, one of the reasons why your club is returning back to impact here a little bit high is, one, due to the fact that I had mentioned that I would like to have seen your posture not so tall and get yourself on a little bit of a better angle as such. Then if we create that rotation, maintaining that posture, that would be ideal. We can see when you rotate, you're rotating on that red axis. You actually stand up a hair more, so you've actually pulled a little bit even further away from the ball. So your spine is now up in this position. Therefore, as you come back into the ball, you unrotate, you do dive a little bit, and as you continue to come into the golf shot there, again, you're just sort of pulling up away from the shot. So you got to learn how to return to an impact position where the spine remains a little bit more into the golf shot, meaning tilted down towards the ball. So look at Chella Choi. You clearly see that her head and her sternum, she's really into the golf shot, this formation, whereas your spine is sort of moving out in that direction. Anyways, as we carry through the remainder of the swing, we just noticed that her right heel is off the ground. We just want to watch the continued activity of that right foot through to the finish. Right heel comes off the ground fully, up on the toe of the right foot. That allows us to displace our weight on our left side, allows our hips to square around, shoulders to fully rotate, and we get ourselves into a nice finish. So let's just pay attention to what you do on the way through. And a pretty decent move there. Again, you want to get fully up on the toe of your right foot so we can count the spikes in your shoe. You do have the majority of the weight on the left side. As soon as you get up on the toe of the right foot, you'll displace even more weight on your left side. And you also want to finish with your hands and arms a little higher. See how your left arm is, again, congested to your rib cage? So one of the things we do see in your golf swing is that the swing arc of your arms is quite narrow. You want to make a backswing where you maintain your arm extension coming back. That's another reason why your club is further off the ground when you hit it, is because you've basically, from address, you've shrunk the diameter of the arc with your arms, and that's effectively pulling the club head too far away from the ball. So you have a very compressed golf swing where your arms are compressed during the backswing, and then they're compressed again to your body on the way through. Nonetheless, though, you got some really nice athletic motion here. Your hands work well. You draw them back and fire through. It looks good. Your core is working well, where you turn in pretty decently on the way back. You can turn better. And then you definitely uncoil on the way through, very nice. Your feet are working pretty decent, or they're working enough that allows you to get to a finish, but we fully want to bring that right heel up off the ground, get up on the toe of the right foot to complete that footwork and the rest of your motion. And then ideally, just refine your posture a little, learn how to make a better backswing where you're rotating on a better axis that's more tilted, with more turn. Then from the top of your backswing, learning how to come into the golf ball, really maintaining that spinal position to allow that club to get closer to the ground and utilize the loft of the club. Again, also from face on, move that ball more forward for the driver, so it's more up off the instep of your left heel. And other than that, things are looking really good, and you do have a lot of potential there. Obviously, if you ever wanted to work on your golf game, feel free to contact me. All my contact information is at the end of this video, and be happy to set some lessons up for you and work on a couple of those things. Also, if you're involved in any tournaments or sit on a committee and you're looking for a unique gift to give to the participants, feel free to contact me, and I'd be happy to provide these services for your event and discuss what it's all about. Okay. Anyways, hope you had a great day. Hope you enjoyed getting an opportunity to see your swing on video, and hope you have a great summer.